Good morning. Can you all hear me? Okay, is this on? Can you hear me now? Better. Sort of. Sort of. Now? Better. We're getting better. Better. Better, 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 best. Better, best, best, best. I think I can hear myself. Okay. Good morning. I want to start off by saying, first, my name is Lee Grinstead, and I'm the senior warden here, and thank you all for joining me. I really want to start off by saying thank you to Dan and to Brian for sweeping the walks and getting here this morning at 4:30 a.m. I was up at 4:31, yes, and I didn't know exactly why. I was awake at 4:31. I think I was here in sympathy with them for sweeping the walks at 4:30 this morning. But that is just tremendous. They're amazing, and really, that's incredible. So thank you. Thank you all for being here this morning for just a critical piece of business here in the life of our cathedral. This is always an exciting morning for me in the life of the cathedral. So thank you. I want to move on to vestry elections. At this point, pre-voting for vestry members has concluded, but there's still time to cast a vote. And there are 3 ways to vote if you have not already. There's a new link to online voting that's available on your screen, sjcathedral.org/vote. And that link has all the biographies and the electronic ballot. You can also email your vote to vestry@sjcathedral.org. And for those of you who are here in person, as Amy just stated, we will accept a paper ballot if you have not already voted. Each member can also only vote once, and our clerks have a record of those who've already voted. So even if you have lost track, we have not lost track. And your duplicate votes will not be counted. So paper ballots must include your member's name and signature in order to be considered valid. We will conclude our voting at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time. And I want to thank all of our nominees for being willing to run this year and stand for vestry election. Helen Richards, who's our nominee for senior warden. Zoe Smith, nominee for junior warden. Andy Bellinger, and if you all are here, would you stand up? That would be wonderful. Zoe, Andy, thank you. Jenny Creasy, Wes Geiselman, Alana Poli, and Bob Tretino. Bob, I know you're here. And I also want to thank Stephen Burris. Stephen, you're up front, who ran last year, but he was asked to step in to fill the seat vacated by Jennifer Jones. So thank you. And I also want to thank and recognize the outgoing vestry class for their time and their energy, their faith, their kindness, and their commitment. Kathleen DeMars, Michael Keckner, Alana Poli, and Mark Weary. They've been tremendous. In addition, of course, Helen Richards agreed to accept the nomination for the job of senior warden, and Helen, thank you so much. I especially want to thank Michael Vante back there, who served as junior warden. His kindness, his organization, his gentle humor has made this job of senior warden not only possible, but just an absolute joy. Words just truly cannot express all the gratitude that I feel and for all the work that he's managed, and mostly behind the scenes and over the past 3 years. So thank you, Michael. I also want to recognize the rest of the vestry who served with me over this past year. The dedication and faith of this body is just truly inspiring. They're magnificent. And if you're unsure of who serves on the vestry, please remember we're really your elected representatives, and we wear these name tags every weekend. You can find us. So if you'd like to put a name with a face, you can find us on Sundays. Don't hesitate to reach out and let us know if you think there's something that we need to know. Okay. All right. In a few minutes, you're going to hear from Tom Barber, who is our treasurer, and he's going to talk about the state of our finances. I really want to start off by saying that we really had a very good year in 2022. And for all of you who've made your pledges for 2023 already, I want to thank you. It's for those of you who may not have made your pledges yet, it's not too late. For your information, the vestry really is continuing to look at ways of increasing possible revenues in individual budget lines. You know, as we know, pledges alone cannot carry this place, but that doesn't mean that we won't accept more. In fact, for those of you who've made your pledges but feel called to increase your pledges, we will gratefully accept that. We can do that as well. So you can reach out to Gordon later today or raise your hand now, and an usher will bring you a pledge form that you can leave in the plate today. So when I think about what I want to say each year at the annual meeting, I try to use a quote, a prayer, a piece of scripture to focus my remarks. And this year is no different. I've been thinking a lot about how the church was built and how we build and maintain community. Broderick helped me identify two different passages, Luke chapter 6, 12 through 16. Now during those days he went out to the mountain to pray, and he spent the night in prayer to God. And when day came, he called his disciples and chose 12 of them, whom he named apostles. Also in Luke chapter 5, 12 through 16. But now more than ever, the word about Jesus spread abroad. Many crowds would gather to hear him, to be cured of their diseases. But he would withdraw to deserted places and pray. So in January, we start off with readings about Jesus building the church, gathering the apostles, healing the sick, performing miracles, and spreading the word. What's always interesting to me is how we find Jesus surrounded, doing his work in the midst of crowds, sleeping in strangers' houses, lecturing, and then how he'll go off by himself. He'll retreat to pray and listen to God, and then how he comes back into community. And he retreats again, and the cycle repeats again and again, often with the apostles wandering around trying to find Jesus. In Christianity, we have a model of leadership that says stepping back, seeking stillness, and using prayer as a time to find that still, quiet voice and to be led by the Holy Spirit is not only healthy, but truly expected. One single human being, even if they're Jesus, cannot do all the work they need to do alone. The work being done at St. John's today by the vestry, finance, executive, investment, audit, grants committees, capital, faith and action team, all the lay Eucharistic visitors, the task forces, and so many other key critical committees that I can't possibly name here today. We all have to make decisions and compromises to exist within our community, and yet we can always stop, pray, listen for the Holy Spirit to guide us where we need to go. As the senior warden, I can tell you it is not the work of a single person or a group, but rather the spirit of this place that I truly believe will bring us where we need to be. If we focus on the strength of our community and on listening carefully to the whisper of the Spirit, in the coming years, I do believe we'll continue to grow this place just as Jesus built a church more than 2,000 years ago. As many of you know, the vestry is charged with the leadership, finances, buildings, and grounds. The past 12 months have been very active. And you've seen St. John's grow, which speaks in part to a healthy and vibrant leadership culture. A leadership culture that I believe is healthy because the staff, the clergy, and lay leaders are focused on listening before they act. Our treasurer will take a deeper dive into our financial picture, so I'll close by reflecting on just some of the work that has been happening over the past year with the Campus Stewardship and Revenue Planning Task Force. After next week, I won't be serving as your senior warden anymore. I will, however, maintain the role as chair of the task force. And if you have thoughts you'd like to share with me about our work, I hope that you'll reach out to me or a member of the team and let us know. During the past year, the vestry approved critical life safety repairs and maintenance work to the Kimberly Apartments for our neighbors across the street. This allows us to provide the neighborhood with naturally affordable units for a few more years while we determine the best use of that property. Those critical repairs are underway, and we hope these repairs will buy us some time while the task force moves forward with its mission to carefully steward the physical resources and properties, generate sustainable revenue streams, and enhance a sense of community while also serving the needs of our neighbors in Capitol Hill and Denver. The task force worked with Triba Architects to document a series of stakeholder meetings with businesses, neighbors, and the congregation to gather additional use cases for our buildings and properties. Many of you will also have noted that we experimented by having a number of neighborhood entrepreneurs join us during coffee hour so they could test out their small business models. We also had local business groups and nonprofits use our parking lot for community fairs in off hours and on weekends. We've been partnering with Maury. They've been using our space to offer college application prep, review, tutoring, which has gone well, and we hope to expand that relationship. We contracted a parking study to understand the impacts that potential development scenarios could have on the cathedral regarding parking required by city code. We held conversations with the Office of the Bishop to discuss their needs. We met with the representative from Arts and Architecture as they began to scope the work that needs to be done for the columbarium. We also wrote and received a grant from the Trinity Foundation that will fund a market analysis and financial viability tool along with a project to survey and document the programming and utilization of the Roberts Building to identify opportunities for reprogramming with alternate revenue generating uses. We also continue to meet with community members and developers to test the waters and see who might be interested in partnering with us in our next phase of work. In the coming months, you'll see us share more information about the task force as we move ahead. Thank you for your time and your attention this morning, and thank you from the bottom of my heart, thank you for the patience and the grace you've extended to me personally over the past 3 years. May the peace of the Lord be always with you. Amen. Last call for voting cards. Anyone raise your hand if you have a ballot, and our clerks will collect those, and they are going to begin their count. If you want to raise your hand in person, they're going to come through right now and collect those. Thank you.
Oh, sweet. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Strand. I am the youth minister here at St. John's. Since I began in August, I have been enchanted by the St. John's community here, your hospitality, your talent, your generosity. Thank you for being here, and thank you for having me. You make this work endlessly satisfying for an extroverted, story-loving adventurer like myself. When you think about it, youth group is one of very few places where our middle and high schoolers can gather without a tryout or audition or some sort of academic achievement or interest. At its best, youth group builds community with kids from all walks of life into a space where they're asked to be fully themselves and fully loving of others. To me, my job as a youth minister is justice work, not for the community service we do, but for the act of empowering our young people to look for the good in everyone and to find holiness even in the darkest of places. Last year, we continued to grow our youth group with the guiding principles of belonging, spiritual growth, and justice. Perhaps the most evident instances of belonging in our youth group occur during special events like our all-parish retreat and our Super Sundays. During these events, youth who might not otherwise feel comfortable in formation settings can know and understand that they are loved by God and the St. John's community. These longer outings spent ice skating or watching movies allow our youth to spend more time with one another and make lasting memories. On average, we had about 15 youth attend these extended afternoon activities with an even distribution of middle and high schoolers. I'm inspired by our youth stewardship video this year that explained how St. John's youth group has been and can be a chosen family. If that isn't belonging, I do not know what is. Our youth's spiritual growth takes place during formation hour every Sunday for our middle schoolers in the morning, and in a recent addition for our high schoolers in the afternoon. We follow the Journey to Adulthood curriculum to guide our conversations about how we are made in God's image and that we all have unique gifts and roles to play. During each lesson, we familiarize ourselves with scripture that are gateways to our discussions, and I am grateful to say that the participation, no matter if we have 5 or as many as 14 participants, has been active and invigorating. Like many communities, we are continuing to learn and expand how we seek out justice as a youth group. Justice, equity, and the desire to change in our youth group is most evident in our conversations, whether it be about race, sexuality, climate change, or gun violence. In December, I was grateful to partner with Liz Wolfert, the managing director at St. Clair's Ministries, who helped our youth begin to understand the circumstances of our unhoused siblings in Denver. We will continue to work with St. Clair's Ministries this spring, whether it be donating baked goods or showing up for their Tuesday night dinners. I hope we can also find additional ways to serve communities outside of St. John's and help our youth stand up for what they believe in together. For these youth, community is more needed and more powerful than ever. I am so grateful for every single one of the kids that has joined us in 2022, and I am eager and excited to see what's in store for this next year. To plenty more chaos, more belovedness, and more learning how a God-led life can transform how we envision our lives together. These kids are truly amazing, from our nursery all the way up through high school. Thank you for bringing your children among us. May we all continue to support one another through the passages of life and grow together in love. Thank you.
Good morning again. St. John's here strives to be a welcoming and hospitable community. It is a welcoming and hospitable community, but for each of us, this means something a little bit different. For some people, it may mean being given the space to ease in. And for others, it means jumping in to volunteer your first day. Hospitality is not one size fits all. Rather, it's an ongoing practice of love and openness, a persistent seeing of Christ in the person sitting next to you. And while signage and logistics, parking maps and bathroom signs, these are helpful aspects of hospitality, but it is the overall sense of open belovedness that will make someone feel as though they belong here. In 6 months, I have had the joy of gathering for St. John's Day, a joyful community event with tacos and games, and best of all, seeing Richard dunked into freezing cold water. Cathedral nights this past fall flourished. On average, 80 people a week shared dinner together and participated in small groups like our beloved Bible study, Cathedral Conversations, our choir, and so much more. An amazing team of cooks made sure that healthy, warm dinners, inclusive of dietary needs, were always delicious. And if you'd like to join them this spring, please come see me. The Community Corner has been a delightful place for groups and ministries to highlight their mission, their vision, and the needs that they have with the larger community. The Flower Guild recruited folks to help with Christmas flowers. FIA helped sign people up to engage in Denver politics. This spring, EFM will invite you to consider joining their next cohort, and the Green Team will share their mission of faith immersed in care and justice for creation, among others. At St. John's, we have over 50 small groups and ministries that serve to connect us, help us grow in faith, and navigate life's journey together. As new people come to St. John's each week, my hope is to help them consider this their spiritual home and their community. And again, we all play an important role in this process. Hospitality is a Christian imperative of openness and love, and we all participate in building Christ's vision of the beloved community. And as we build this community together, it is stronger for all of us participating. Introverts and extroverts, old and young, across socioeconomic differences, gender differences, across different musical preferences and liturgical styles. When we all share, we fuel a dynamic, inclusive community that celebrates the belonging of each child of God. I am so glad that you are here. Your presence matters. You feed and fuel our community. I mean, literally, with cookies and coffee that you bring. It's definitely an important part. Thank you for feeding and fueling our community.
Good morning. For those of you I haven't met yet, my name is Enrique Cintron, and I am the Digital Ministry Coordinator here at St. John's. On Sundays, you can usually find me all the way in the back at the AV booth, which I affectionately refer to as my satellite office. I get asked what exactly my job entails quite often, and the simplest way to understand that is that I support the communications department and the online ministries of the cathedral. One of the primary aspects of my work here is managing our AV ministry and our live streaming equipment. We have an online congregation that is continuing to grow, even as in-person worship has resumed, made up of both longtime parishioners who are homebound or immunocompromised, as well as folks from around the country who faithfully tune in to one of our services every week. Our social media presence has also increased significantly since last year, which means that more people, not just in Denver, but across the country, are seeing what a vibrant and holy place this is. Seeing these trends throughout the past year has been really exciting, and I look forward to working with my fellow staff on ways that we can deepen our relationship to our online members. Another big part of my work is using technology to make the cathedral that much more welcoming and accessible to everyone who walks through our doors or watches online. This past year, with major help from Owen Pearson, we launched our digital responsive leaflets, which allow you to follow along with the service on your phone or tablet, and also adjust the font size if you need larger text to read comfortably. Lastly, I have also been working with Reverend Amy, Jenny Bonin, and others to produce a new parish directory that will be available in both print and digital form. We hope to have this ready to publish for you all very soon so that you can stay connected with your church family and hopefully put names to faces that you haven't met yet. I love all that I get to do here at St. John's, and I feel incredibly blessed to serve this congregation alongside this amazing staff, vestry, and our lay leaders. And I look forward to seeing where God takes us in the next year. Thank you.
My name is Evans Owsley, and I'm the Director of Communications. The Communications Department touches almost everything we do here at St. John's. From the obvious, like updating the website and pulling together the newsletter, to the not so apparent, like helping our staff communicate effectively with each other by running a monthly meeting to look in depth at our upcoming events and services so we can be as prepared as possible and catch potential conflicts before they happen. Without communications, only those of you within our walls would know how amazing this community is. Our department is vital to working with the rest of our clergy and staff and lay leaders to tell the story of this place and this community. This time last year, you all generously pledged to support the cathedral for 2022 and allowed us to hire both our curate, Amy Newell-Large, and our digital ministry coordinator, Enrique Centrone, both of whom just spoke. I am so grateful to you all for trusting us and helping us connect more deeply with our community with help from both Amy and Enrique. I'm, of course, especially grateful to have another full-time communication staff person, and Enrique continues to do a fantastic job. Over the last year, I've been able to take a step back and consider the additional ways that we can reach and connect with people beyond our walls. I'll share a few examples of how we've done that. Last June, we invited LGBTQI+ clergy from the diocese to come to the cathedral to film a video for Pride Month. We leaned into our role as the cathedral for the whole diocese and brought together clergy and parishioners from different churches and produced a welcoming video for churches across the diocese to use in their own communications. This video not only shows that St. John's Cathedral welcomes everyone as their full selves, but also shows LGBTQI+ people around our state that there is a place for them in the Episcopal Church. This summer, many of you will remember that we hosted a monthly coffee hour with Metro Caring on the West Lawn, with local entrepreneurs who are trying to get their businesses off the ground. We deepened our relationship with our partners at Metro Caring, created new connections with these entrepreneurs, and invited our neighbors to join our parishioners in supporting these folks. This is just one way that we've been reaching out to businesses and residents in our neighborhood and inviting them to join us on our campus. This work has been led by the Campus Stewardship and Revenue Planning Task Force, and I'm excited to see how we continue these efforts in 2023. I've been able to attend meetings of both this task force and the group of vestry members looking into the feasibility of some urgent capital projects. Both of these groups are made up of lay leaders who are dedicated to ensuring that this cathedral and our community are here for many more generations to come. As I continue to meet regularly with these groups, I better understand their important work for this congregation and our buildings, and I can communicate their progress and updates to the parish. To close, I want to say that each year I get the privilege of choosing the theme for our stewardship campaign, but it often becomes an overarching theme in our general communications to the parish. This year I selected, "Behold, I am doing a new thing," from Isaiah 43:19, because I heard so many of you try to articulate in your own words the noticeable shift in energy in this place, something that I think can only be described as God the Holy Spirit moving and dwelling among us. There was a lot of exciting newness in 2022. 6 new staff members, with 2 more coming next month, new seating for the cathedral, new opportunities for formation and connecting with each other, new HVAC in Dagwell Hall, St. Martin's Chapel, and the nursery, and new and deeper relationships with our community partners and our Capitol Hill neighbors. And through all that newness remains a steady and growing congregation, eager to support this work of building a church in the different ways each of you can. And for that, we are all very grateful. Thank you.
Good morning. For those who don't know me, my name is Dan Parker. I'm the facility manager here at St. John's. I was sharing with a few of you this morning that I'm a whole lot better with these than I am with my mouth, so hope this goes well. Last year was a big year for all of us here at St. John's, and the facility department was no exception. Not only did we see the completion of some large infrastructure projects, but we also witnessed the church come back to life with small groups, formation offerings, concerts, cathedral night, dinners, weddings, and community events, not to mention the return of thousands of people who call St. John's home. Our staff grew to support all these events, and through it all, I believe the facility department met those challenges with grace, determination, and a willingness to make sure that the needs of the community were met. Some people may be surprised to learn that the facility department is involved in every aspect of the ongoings here at St. John's. To name a few: groundskeeping, repairs, preventive maintenance, housekeeping, security, event setups, building and remodeling, and burials on All Souls Walk. One of our favorite and most important roles is being ambassadors to the St. John's community and welcoming folks into our building for worship and community. However, we do not do this alone. It is with great gratitude that we thank the wonderful volunteers who help every day at the church. We could not do this without you, so thank you. In 2023, our facility team plans to address some issues that we're having with the plumbing in our restrooms. And our major focus will be giving the cathedral interior a facelift. We will begin by refinishing credence tables, repairing and refinishing altars, cleaning stonework, repairing tile, and refinishing floors. It seems the new floors in the nave have kind of revealed some other places in the worship space that we need to attend to. So we're going to get to that this year. Mahatma Gandhi said, "If you want to lose yourself, find yourself in the service of others." I want to thank you for allowing us to serve you. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gordon Brooks, and I've met many of you, but those who haven't met me know that I'm relatively new to Denver and to St. John's. And one of the things that strikes me about these reports is Reverend Amy's report on hospitality is actually what drove me to this church more than anything else. I'm an architect, so of course the cathedral's magnificent, and I was awestruck when I came in. But it was you, the people, both online and also now in the pews here or chairs, that made a difference in my life and welcomed me here. I am your director of stewardship, and so I'm here to talk about our stewardship program, and especially the pledge campaign that we've just undergone, but we're not quite finished with yet. As you'll find out from Tom Barber later, the revenue streams that populate our budget are really basically from pledges, from plate, occasional gifts, and then draws from the endowment. By far the most important one is the pledge campaign, because it is a representation of your commitment to God and to this cathedral. And therefore it is very important to take that seriously. We have nearly completed the pledge drive, but we're not there yet. As you'll find out from Tom, there's a gap between what we raise in pledges on the pledge campaign and what the actual budget needs. And so we need to figure out how to fill that gap. And of course, as you'll see from the budget report, it is a balanced budget, but the gap is taken primarily from savings. And so that's not sustainable, you know that, and nor is it ideal. So what I encourage you to do is to, if you haven't pledged, of course, is to pledge soon. But if you have pledged, to consider, as Lee pointed out, increasing your pledge or re-looking at your pledge and seeing if there is a possibility of increasing that pledge for this year. It's been a pleasure to work with you all. I'm honored, and I want to give you gratitude, or show my gratitude for your work in this place. So thank you very much, and God bless you.
Good morning. My name is Tom Barber, and it's been my honor to be the treasurer of St. John's and leader of the finance committee. Short-term pains can lead to long-term gains. We all know this to be true, whether it's that extra set at the gym, dealing with the line at the DMV, or witnessing a temporary drop in your long-term financial portfolio. Sticking with a plan and focusing on a long-term outcome takes patience and vigilance. In fiscal year 2022, St. John's put patience and vigilance into practice as the year started off with major challenges to our operating budget stemming from reduced rental incomes with the Kimberly Apartments. This helped heighten the urgency of the Campus Stewardship and Revenue Planning Task Force, created to work on with multiple experts on a long-term plan for the property with a 5-year planning horizon. While the outstanding work of the task force is not the short-term balm to the operating budget, the savvy administrative team at St. John's worked on every tactical detail at their disposal to make the year successful. Their dedication and creativity, coupled to the outstanding generosity of our members, has resulted in a balanced budget for fiscal year 2022. Now, I want to add to that in 2022, we've seen more staff come to St. John's, yet we've been able to balance the budget. This is a great accomplishment. It was only possible through the powerful combination of skilled management and generous giving, something that all at St. John's should take pride in. While we saw the immediate concerns to the operating budget in the early part of the year, only so much deficit can be made up with working to reduce expenses. Controlling the controllables yielded immediate reductions in the spend in easy areas to manage, such as meals, marketing, food and beverage, and travel. In order to avoid a deficit year, revenues would also have to play a part. The team at St. John's leaned into this side of the balance sheet as well, yielding an almost 50% increase to the income from weddings and funerals to plan. The root cause of the reduced rental incomes from the Kimberly was also expertly managed by both our team and our property management company, ending the year at 60% of plan. Now, not great, but much better than the forecast looked earlier in the year. The answer to balancing our budget came directly from the outrageous generosity of our members, giving 107% of planned pledge and 110% planned plate. Keeping our operating budget balanced is foundational to creating a sustainable future for the cathedral. And together, we've successfully gotten past short-term pains and continue to build towards long-term gains. The endowment remains critical to the current and future financial wellness of the cathedral. Will Nicholson and the investment committee led by Giles Fox continued their expert management of our largest asset. While markets have been nothing short of challenging and volatile in 22, the endowment policy designed to be an all-weather strategy limited our short-term losses, and the year ended with a non-audited balance of over $23 million. While below the high water mark seen in 2021, the fund has recovered over $1 million in Q4 alone last year and continues to prove the sage practices of our policies and procedures. For over half a decade, St. John's has been repairing critical infrastructure that keeps our stunning building safe, attractive, and comfortable. Funding for these projects has evolved from a large, dedicated fund, which is now depleted, to careful use of our retained earnings in conjunction with a repairs and maintenance operational expense budget. Last year, several unplanned one-time repairs exceeded our planned maintenance budget, resulting in approximately $60,000 overage to the plan. This did contribute to the potential net deficit challenge. However, because of the culmination of all the things I described earlier, only $21,000 for an air conditioner had to be expensed to our retained earnings, which leaves more money in the reserves for the unexpected repairs in the future. Every year, my prepared remarks about the audit come out the same. So what I want to do is mention about the audit that this really comes down to the expert management from Chris Jenkins, our outgoing accountant, but also our audit committee led by Chuck Thompson, Jay Swope, Tom Barrett, and others. Every year, our audit comes out the same. St. John's does wonderfully with only one qualification, that is around depreciation. That's the same with churches everywhere. The year 2022 at St. John's ended on a positive financial note as a result of the incredible time, treasure, and talent of the staff, volunteers, and the generosity of the members. Together, we have weathered challenges while building towards a sustainable future at the same time. This paradox proves that when we put our hearts and minds together, we can achieve great things together. Thank you.
Good morning. I have heels on. This is tough. Can y'all hear me okay? Okay, good. So I just, before I get to my prepared remarks, want to acknowledge that this is towards the end of the meeting. I am the last speaker. Besides Q&A, and Lee will announce the vestry election results. So this is, I know, a point where maybe we're a little bit tired. So just take a deep breath. I ask you to do that because I'd like you to listen to me. And I'd like to just give you a heads up. I will be repeating a little bit of what everybody up here has said. And I'd like to point out I will be quick about it. And sometimes it's really the important things that bear repeating, the things that we want y'all to take home and remember. So what you're hearing from everybody here are the big things happening that we are all working on here for St. John's Cathedral. And the last unprepared remark I'd like to make is on this stage, myself and Tom Barber are kind of the longest serving people. So you're hearing from a lot of new voices today. And I just want to acknowledge the voices that aren't here and that I know are here with us in spirit. Katie, Broderick, and Richard. I know they are all here with us in spirit, and I know that we all love and miss them and hope they're having a great Sunday. All right, so on to my prepared remarks. Often, to understand where we are, we need to look back at where we've been. In December of 2016, St. John's Vestry published a document called The Path to Financial Stability, which outlined for the parish an action the vestry was soon to take, a $4.1 million one-time draw on the endowment. $2.1 million of that was used to pay off a line of credit, internal fund transfers, and provide working capital for operations. $2 million was set aside to fund critical repairs and maintenance of the cathedral's buildings and grounds. This exceptionally large draw on the cathedral's endowment was balanced with a commitment to, over time, reduce the annual endowment draw for the operating budget. Today, just 6 years later, and as required, the 2023 budget is the first year in which the annual endowment draw for the operating budget will settle to its lowest percentage, 4%. This reduction has two effects in today's world that I'd like to highlight. Number one, for the third year in a row, the endowment revenues in the operating budget are significantly lower than the revenues from your pledges. It's about a 2-to-1 ratio, pledges to endowment revenues. And this, of course, leads me to number two, and here I'm being repetitive, but your pledges are more needed and more important than ever. For 2023, we are a bit behind in the number of pledging households. If you haven't yet made a pledge for 2023, please do so. Your pledge, no matter the amount, will make a difference and will be used carefully. And may I repeat Gordon and Lee and ask that those who are able to increase their pledge by 5%. We are a little short also in pledging dollars and need about $54,000 more to balance our operating budget without drawing from our increasingly small savings. You may contact Gordon to make or increase your pledge, or you may find pledge cards with Georgie at the back of the cathedral. Thank you ahead of time for your pledges and financial support. So looking back again, but just a little bit this time, I can happily echo Tom and report with gratitude that 2022 was a good year financially. I will highlight 4 reasons why. 2022 was a good year financially because pledges grew by 13%. That is a big number. Your incredible generosity came at a critical moment when the vestry and your staff leadership knew that the needs of this parish required 2 more full-time positions. Because of your generosity, we were able to hire our digital ministries coordinator, Enrique Cintron, who just presented so wonderfully, and our curate for parish life, the Reverend Amy Newell-Large, who is incredible. Number 2, and this is perhaps, I'm repeating Tom here, but this is the most incredible financial story of 2022, is that your pledges, if you remember, I just said they were 13% higher than the year before, were overpaid by 7%. So that was paid 107%. That's incredible. Thank you so much for your generosity and confidence. Number 3, 2022 was a good year financially because of the commitment of your staff and lay leaders to keep expenses lean. We live within our means. Number 4, 2022 was a good year financially because the sale of a gift of property received in 1939 from Bessie L. Spencer allowed us to fund the addition of 2 more greatly needed positions for 3 years outside of the operating budget. Our Director of Stewardship, Gordon Brooks, who you just heard from, and our incoming Deacon for Community Partnerships, the Reverend Deacon Jack Karn. Thank you so much to the Finance Committee for their careful and hard work, to the vestry, our staff, all the lay leadership, and especially to you for making 2022 a good year financially. So, since the remainder of the $4.1 million endowment draw was spent down in the summer of 2021, we have continued, of course, to need to identify ways to pay for ongoing major building repairs and maintenance needs in a building that is over 100 years old. The most memorable recent project of which was that St. John's was fortunate beyond measure that an anonymous household was able to fully fund the cost of a new HVAC system. This new system was greatly needed and was finished this past spring. It serves the Cathedral Sanctuary, the nursery, the common room, Dagwell Hall, and St. Martin's Chapel. The capital needs of this building and the need for recurring operating revenues beyond the endowment and even beyond your pledging continues to be urgent. Accordingly, there are fantastic lay leaders working on how to address repairs needed for, amongst other projects, the stained glass windows and the columbarium. And the Campus Stewardship and Revenue Planning Task Force is working on a long-term strategy to bring about partnerships that will result in greater missional outreach, a deeper connection of St. John's to our neighbors, and reliable recurring revenues so that the growth and vibrancy of this community can continue with financial responsibility and health. Planting our feet back into today. Today, we are offered the opportunity to express deep gratitude to the 5 vestry members, including your senior and junior warden, who are rolling off the vestry completely. To the 2 longest-serving staff members, both of whom are retiring, and both of whom wore many hats in their long tenures here. And to our new staff, whom, if you noticed, you really just heard from the new staff today. I'm the old one. So, enormous thanks to vestry members Lee Grinstead, Michael Vante, Kathleen DeMars, Michael Keckner, and Mark Wary for your leadership, your time, and your devotion. To David Porterfield, after 40 years on staff here, almost 40 years, to David, I thank him for his clear love of all of us in this place. To Chris Jenkins, after more than 20 years, I thank her for her integrity, her work ethic, and her deep care, especially for her weekly offering plate count volunteers, Carol Prescott, Wayne Bernhardt, and many others over the years. And finally, to all the staff that joined us, some are up here now, they're elsewhere, but to all the staff that joined us in 2022, and even though Jack hasn't quite started yet, you each bring fresh perspectives, wisdom, and energy to our staff, and all of St. John's is so fortunate that such brilliant people have chosen to join our team. Today, through frugality, paired with clear-eyed hope, ambition, and optimism, we continue to grow mindfully in the direction of the path to financial stability. Thank you, as always, for your support and all the ways in which you enrich life here at St. John's. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions or if you would like to check in.
Okay, so based on the number of ballots that have been submitted electronically and collected for the election of the new vestry class, we do have a quorum today. Yes. So, my many thanks to all of you who voted. And for the record, this meeting has been recorded, and a transcript is also being generated. I meant to say that earlier today, but I was a little worried about that quorum thing. So we will have the transcript posted online after the meeting is concluded. We asked Bradley Jackson and Michael Vante to be members of the Teller Committee today. They counted the ballot for the election of the new vestry members. Thank you, Bradley and Michael. Last year's annual meeting was held on January 30th, 2022, and the minutes from that meeting have been posted online at sjcathedral.org/minutes. We also have a few paper copies available if anyone was interested in seeing those. And if you'd like them, please feel free to raise your hand. Georgie, I believe, can pass those around. We would like to receive a motion and a second to dispense with the reading of those minutes before we open that up for discussion. Who's Rebecca? And a second, Tom in the back. Thank you, Tom. And are there, Tom Keys did submit a motion, a change to be made on the bottom of page 3 to change speaker 6 to read Broderick Greer instead. Were there any additional changes that need to be made to the minutes? Or any questions regarding the minutes from last year's annual meeting? Okay, barring none, I'd like to call for a vote to accept the minutes for January 30th, 2022 as submitted with the changes as Tom Keys suggested. Yes, Rebecca or Mike? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Surprise. Any abstentions? Okay. The minutes passed. Okay, the motion passed. So I'd like to move on to vestry elections. So please help me to welcome the new class of 2026. Helen Richards, incoming senior warden. Zoe Smith, incoming junior warden. Andy Bellinger, Jenny Creasy, Wes Geiselman will fill out Helen Richards' 2-year term. Alana Poli and Bob Trattino. Congratulations to all of you. Wonderful. Really, congratulations. You have elected a spectacular class. We are very excited. And Audrey and I, based on the time of day, Audrey and I are going to step into the Memorial Hall, and we will be available informally to answer any questions that you might have about the content of the annual meeting. We'll answer questions informally before the 10:30 service. So if you have any questions for us, we'll be available in Memorial Hall. Otherwise, thank you so much for attending the 162nd annual meeting of St. John's Cathedral. And with that, we are finished. Thank you.